Hello, and welcome to But Are There Dragons, a podcast where two friends pick a book at least one of them hasn't read and talk about it.
I'm your host, Kritter.
And I'm your host, Jess. And welcome to Season 7, Episode 6, where we are talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl's Book 3, The Anarchist Cookbook. Welcome back, Kritter. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. It's spring, and I'm very happy with the weather change and all that means.
So this segment was chapters 18 through the end of the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That sounds right. Right. Just in case you're keeping score.
That's
what we're talking about. No, you're good. So before we talk about the book, we've got a segment that we've been doing now, but are there updates? I want to dive right in because we got some news very recently about a couple of different games that we are extremely hyped about. But I think we should start with the one, Jessica, that you brought up because it makes sense given what we're reading.
Yeah, and it's also been out a little bit longer, so it makes sense. So in case anyone is not aware, along with Dungeon Crawler Carl book, and we had talked about in a previous episode how they are working on a live action for Dungeon Crawler Carl, there is a backer kit by Renegade Games for a Dungeon Crawler Carl RPG. So it's out there, it's available through May 15th. And it looks incredible. So it's set up tabletop RPG style. Oh, look at that. Incredible. You can see it's fully funded, but I like to back things on Backer Kit, even if they're already fully funded, because I like the gear and I like getting things fresh. So we wanted to share this with everybody. So there are several levels of pledge. It's both the role-playing game, and then there's also a card building module called Unstoppable. And as you can see, there are several tiers. So check it out if that's the kind of thing you like. There's so much game reference, so much TTRPG folded in through this book series that most likely, if you like the books, this might interest you. So we figured we'd bring it up to share. Like I said, it's out there. You can even play as Donut. I mean, who wouldn't want to?
The art looks super fun, and you mentioned that it's not AI, no AI with the art.
No AI.
But relevant to our discussion a couple of episodes ago, which is really, really encouraging to see. And I love that there's more than just the RPG, right? Because the first time I heard about this, I thought, my word, I barely have time to play my D&D campaign. How am I ever going to pick something else up? And I'm still on the fence because I am also just a collector and I would love to own it so that someday I could play it. But the fact that there's also this Unstoppable card game is definitely more tempting for me because I am a board gamer to my core. Granted, this would be like a deck builder, but I consider, deck building games are tabletop games, so they're in the board game category. So I see myself, if nothing else, backing Unstoppable because it's it looks great. Also, it looks like it comes with some stickers.
Yeah.
A sucker for some stickers. So it's pretty exciting times in the game community. So think about
and I'm always a fan of when they offer different levels of pledging, right? Like not everybody has $200 to drop on a new kit or game set or what have you, and there's a variety of levels there. So we just thought we'd share. If that's not in your budget or in your realm of a thing you like, no problem, but we are talking games today. We both like games. These were things that stood out to us.
Yes, and then the day that we're recording this, actually, another game that's of extreme interest to both of us just got announced, and that is War of the Dragon, the first official Wheel of Time board game. And I say official because there is another fan-made board game called Third Age that you can play on Tabletop Simulator. Tabletop Simulator, that's a real banger. Like, as somebody who's very into board games, it is an excellent game, and it has been play-tested to the gods. So if you want to try something new, and you use Tabletop Simulator on Steam, highly recommend Third Age. But this is not that. This is officially sanctioned, and it sounds quite a bit different from Third Age based on the gameplay. So, like, having two in the same universe, one of them being unofficial and the other one being official, I think they can coexist very well. So, War of the Dragon is also coming to Kickstarter. It is not out yet, but if you sign up on warofthedragon.com with your email, you can get notifications for when the campaign is going to begin. If you do that, also, you'll get 2 bonus cards, Bella and Hopper, who are going to be allies in the game. So that's fun. Bella and Hopper, who doesn't want them? But if you're interested in board games, real quick, the synopsis that I've gathered, and granted, there's no gameplay that we can see, but based on the description, it is a 2-player game. One person is playing the side of the light, one person is playing the side of the dark. If you're familiar with the Wheel of Time, apparently the plot begins at the War for the Two Rivers, the Battle for the Two Rivers, in book 4, and it goes all the way through the end of the last battle, which is pretty exciting. I know that there will be a miniatures option in the Kickstarter, so you can get minis to paint, or they have like little cardboard cutout options, I believe. It's tableau building, set collection, and area control. So I have played 1,000, that's an exaggeration, territory control games, right? We're talking like the most fundamental territory control game would be Risk, right? So you're battling, you're taking over territories, you're encroaching on somebody else. Like that's how that is. And there are some games that do that so well. So the fact that that's an element, I'm really into it. And it also makes sense, right? Because of the nature of the story. I know for a fact, because I talked to somebody who's reviewing the art, but thing number 1, it's not AI generated. There's no AI art. They're not doing that at all. That's included on the website too, but I talked to a person who guaranteed that as well. Thing number 2, they have somebody who's a Wheel of Time fan reviewing the art to make sure it is in line with the books, like in the descriptions, right? Shiriam is a redhead, stuff like that. And so that is, to me, really excited because I love things whenever they're faithful to the books, right? And it sounds like this is going to be faithful to the books, which is really exciting. And this, if you're curious who's putting this on, this is officially licensed by Direwolf Digital, I believe is what it's Direwolf Games, right? They did Dune Imperium, which I have heard really good things about, and they also did Clank. I have Clank in Space. It's super fun. It's like if I'm remembering, it's been ages, more of like a deck builder type game, but it also has a board, like a board surface. So that could have some similarities, but I just based on what I've seen and what I've heard and what it looks like, this is going to be a really unique game that I'm really excited about. So the fact that it's 2-player is also really, really interesting to me because like my husband and I are both huge gamers and we're both huge Wheel of Time fans. So the fact that we can just like drop this on the table and play against each other at any time is really pretty attractive. So
yeah, there's a lot of big tabletop games out there that it's really hard to have fun with only 2 people.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm hoping that this one is really well balanced and is going to be the exception to that general rule. So don't forget to sign up for that emails and stuff so you find out when it drops. And I'm really curious to see what the Kickstarter tiers look like, other than what it sounds like there's going to be a minis and a cardboard version. But anyways, I'm hyped. Do you think you're going to back this one, Jess? Are you still trying to
most likely. I mean, you know that we're very similar to yourselves. You know, Mr. Jessica and I both love. I would say that I'm not as much of a board gamer as you are. Like I know you and Mr. Kritter play a lot more games than we do, but still, we did before we had a baby,
right? And hopefully we'll get back into it eventually.
Right. So yeah, there is a little bit of life gets in the way, but it would be so great just to see officially licensed Wheel of Time game. I have a hard time believing we won't back it.
Yeah. I hope it's like reasonably priced. I assume it is. I assume it's gonna be. And I'm excited that this Direwolf has it, right? It sounds like they've got the reins, like, you know, creative control and everything, and they've got some really good games under their belt already. So I'm into it.
It's exciting times.
It is exciting times. All right. So that was a good little But Are There Updates segment. Let us know in the comments or on Discord if you think you're going to back one or both of these, or if you're not interested at all. And if you're not interested at all, why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you should give it a try. Maybe.
All right. Let's get into the book.
Okay. So again, second half of Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. We left off right before it got good. We left off right as some stuff really hit the fan. So first thing that pops to mind is the confrontation with Frank.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel that went? So we had Frank come back in. He's in the Desperado Club. He is 9 sheets to the wind and very vulnerable with Carl. It was a very interesting interaction.
Yeah, it was. I got the sense the last time they saw those two that Frank was not the one that was out for blood, right? In the way that Maggie Mai is. I got the sense that Frank was a little bit more not likely to do as well, not as ruthless. I don't know. Basically the Frank that we saw in this read was the Frank that I would have expected to see. I did not expect the ring or why it all happened with the daughter and stuff. Like, obviously that was a huge twist. And the fact that he gave the ring to Carl and Mordecai freaked out when he saw the ring, all of that stuff, very, very interesting. But there's a lot going on with that one for sure. I felt bad for Frank for sure, but at the same time, they were using the ring to help their daughter level up. So obviously there's that ethical conundrum, right? Like, would you kill others to protect your own? But it's just a tough situation.
Yeah, I remember when I read it through the first time, just because even when we were going through it, it just doesn't sit right. Why did Maggie, Carl comments on it, why does Maggie do that? She should have just healed. Why does that happen? And so eventually the author gives us the story and it all comes together. And for me, it fits very well, right? You understand why Maggie did what she did, but you also now understand why Frank is so resigned and Maggie is so vengeful.
Yeah, no, it fit together perfectly. It was a really satisfying, not really an end to the setup because there's still more to come, but it was a really satisfying twist for sure in this Frank, Maggie Mai plot.
Yeah, it was a good payoff.
For sure.
And even before that, we got a little bit, I had a note I had skipped over. We saw something introduced called PvP, player versus player coupons. So for anybody who's new with us, Kritter games a heck of a lot more than I do. This is a concept that you have encountered as in your gamer life, or did this concept kind of come as a new territory for you?
So there is a board game that we play called, what is it? It's if you can't see me, I'm like looking over to my board game shelf. One moment. Oh my gosh, what's it called? No. It's called Nemesis, and it is like a spin essentially on if alien happened on a spaceship, right? And so there's a big spaceship, there are aliens spawning, you're the crew, and you're trying to get back to Earth or kill the aliens or whatever. There's like multiple objectives, and you can get points based on how you fulfill the objectives, yada yada. Well, sometimes, as I recall, again, it's been a while since I played any board game because of my life circumstances, but sometimes you can get a secret mission that involves you like winning if somebody else dies. So in that way, there are certain tricksy elements to games. I don't know if there's necessarily like a video game that I can specifically.
Well, do they ever incentivize you to attack other players? I guess?
Sure. Okay, yeah. Like there's a mode in Call of Duty where you can get the, oh my God, it's called like Kingpin or something. I don't know. It's a mission that you can elect to grab as a player. And if you grab it, it puts a target on your back. And if people kill you, they get bonuses. So, but if you survive, you get bonuses. So it's kind of, it's complicated. So, no, it's not uncommon at all. So I was not surprised. The betrayal aspect of it is much more like Nemesis, where it's like, okay, we're all a crew here, except for secretly.
Yeah,
you'd be okay if
so you add that on top of the introduction of bounties, rewards.
Bounties.
So the top 10 are already walking around with targets on their back theoretically, and then you just add in the player versus player coupons and the fact that they were trying to be hidden.
Yeah. Well, and I understood like Katya's discomfort, right? Whenever she
Right.
witnessed what Donut did, and the only ticket she found was Carl's, like, I would have been weirded out too. Why could Donut not stash them in the same place? Like, did she? Right? Donut said she threw Katya's away, but there's no way for us to prove that. And why would she have thrown them away in two different places? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So it just feels weird. It feels weird. It's yucky. And the fact that Carl was like, did Maggie Mai get bonus points for killing her daughter? That just added a whole layer of gross to that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then hearing about how some of the other crawlers had some experience with PvPs being introduced into their little cohorts and what that looked like for them. So kind of interesting, a little bit more on crawler culture, but adding another layer of peril
for sure.
For them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of the other crawlers, the next big action point that I've got bulleted to talk about is Hecla. So
that's what I thought you were going to lead with.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to skip over the Frank Q thing. Like the Frank Q story, that interaction and that story kind of floored me when I did my first run through. Like you said, like it doesn't even really tie up a story line necessarily, but it's such a good payoff that I was like, whew. So I didn't want to skip it.
No, definitely. No, I thought we would talk about it when you're like the first huge thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, one of the biggest things that happened was Hecla.
Hecla is a big ass deal. So let's talk about it. Were you suspicious? At what point during the train ride? Who do you think had something going on the whole time?
The moment they were in their personal space, immediately no. I hated it from the start. Like they invaded their space. When Katya said she whitelisted the whole party, that freaked me out. And to this day, it freaks me out because I don't remember in the book her saying that she reversed that. And I need her to reverse that just for my peace of mind, even though I don't know like if it's an individual thing or if it's like now that Brunhild's daughters are gone, it's that the whitelist is gone. I don't know I don't know the mechanism, but until they confirm on the page that whitelist is gone, I'm expecting that evil snake lady to show up in their personal space. Like I trust no one. So anyways, the fact that Katya let them into the space without asking Carl and Donut while they were away, bad. Hated it. Very uncomfortable. The fact that everyone kind of knew that Katya was leaving and that was horrible, but then Carl's like, let's just keep her on our team for the moment. Like, thank God they did that. And then the plot that was going to possibly kill Katya for the greater good, that made me sick. Honestly, it was awful. Like Hecla is this sociopath who will do whatever she needs to do for the greater good. Like, okay, so she's utilitarian, but also brutal. And her sidekick, Eva, is just even worse somehow. Like she enjoys the fact that like all of it, she enjoys being evil. I feel like it's just bad. I just don't like it at all. I thought it was terrible, but the way it ended up was awesome. That was great. But I hated that Katya was betrayed like that. Yeah.
So honestly, I wasn't even thinking about the whitelisting. The whitelisting was so alarming when it happened. Like my red flags went up, and I'm a really trusting person and a passive reader, and I was like, whoa, why are we just letting everybody in?
No thanks.
This is your sanctum sanctorum. You should like screen people and stuff. But by the time we got on the train, Ava, I can't remember, definitely did not sit well with me from the beginning. And Hecla, interestingly, when you find out the dynamic and you find out that she was in fact a therapist and has just compartmentalized down so hard to this is just what I'm doing to navigate this.
Yeah. Well, not to mention she's like, not only that, but she's gathered a group of people who would be literally lost without her. And she's relying on the buff that she gets by being surrounded by women from her weapon to essentially prop herself up.
I was going to say, and that just makes her stronger.
So she's so, I mean, I don't want to say in her shoes, that I would behave differently in the sense that, of course, if I got that weapon, I would try to get a group of gals together, right? Obviously. But the rest of it is where I draw the line, right? If you're going to have someone like Katya, you don't leave her behind. But like, that's ridiculous. Like, also the fact that a lot of them were healers and stuff just felt like she was using them to her advantage. And I don't know how much she like leaned on them to be like, oh, you need to be a healer, you need to be a healer. But she made what we call a bunch of squishy teammates. Like, she didn't have a bunch of tanks around her other than Katya, making them vulnerable.
Well, and Katya wasn't. She sent Katya away.
Yeah, like, so I don't know. She I don't like her. Don't like her as a person. Also, the fact that she's like, it's a bolt. Like, F off. You know, it's not an arrow. It's a bolt. Like, screw you. I don't know. I just like, she really rubbed me the wrong way. The whole time.
Yeah. So that part, the pedantic, it's a bolt. Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was her essentially just going, well, that didn't work. And now what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, come on, what are you doing? So that was pretty wild. Again, for me, that was just somebody who's incredibly shut down, right? Like, that she has carved away all of her humanity and be like, this was the angle we were playing. It didn't work. So now we just pivot, and expecting everybody else to pivot with the same lack of emotionality, I guess.
Yeah. Not always
and you
gonna
just
happen, guys.
seem, and you just seem like a robot at that point.
Yeah, but the fact that like Carl would have had no idea if what's her name, the talk show host, wouldn't have told him.
Odette,
yeah. If Odette wouldn't have warned him, he even admitted like he would be dead. Like, they would have no idea what they were supposed to be looking out for. And granted, Donut had no idea, and she was the one that saw the arrows, right? So like, thank God for that. It was wild. But like, we haven't talked about just the nature of this plan, right? That Katya allegedly had, which was to strap herself to the front of a train and just bowl through people, throwing them into her inventory. That had to be partially inspired by Carl, for sure.
Yeah,
the inventory
absolutely.
move. But it was brilliant, but just brutal. And all the descriptions of like gore and viscera getting in their mouths, getting all over their face was just very. It was just
descriptive.
It was a little descriptive. Like, I could use less description in that scene, I think.
And then, of course, that coming to fruition, they made that rule change as Mordecai was coming back from his timeout, and she just gets like, was it Carrie? Just covered in blood and gore.
Well, she didn't get covered in blood and gore.
Oh, everybody else, excuse me. And then they got a Roomba that is going to be the most overworked Roomba ever in the universe.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Like, I can't imagine why they did that other than like for the laughs, or it's just a funny little segment where they had to spend $25,000 on a vacuum. But I don't know. It was good. It was satisfying because, as I think I told you this last time, or maybe whenever they hooked up with Katya, I was uncomfortable the entire time because of how much she was always dialed into the daughters, like always communicating with them. And Carl, in this read, it dawned on him, like, they knows everything about us. Like, she is relaying all of this information. Does Hekla have somebody like this all over the dungeon? Like, is this a spy network? Like, is this the Blue Aja right now for Wheel of Time?
And Carl even comments on that in another part, out of context, not related to the Brunhild's daughters, but there's all kinds of things going on throughout the dungeon that we're not part of, and we have no idea what's happening. Yeah.
And to that, I know you probably are going to talk about this later, but in their final interview at the end of the book, like, there was a bunch of throwaway lines that Odette got in there, like the tragic incident with, oh my God, there's a cut. Like, anyway, she just says multiple things rapid fire that I was like, what? And like, I did not, because I wasn't reading a physical book. I did read the passage twice, and both times I was like, what did I just hear? Like, I don't know. Like, tragic incident with, was it Lucia Marr? So I'm over here like, what's going on with Lucia? Like, is she alive? Because there was a notification that the top 10 got changed again. So who died? There's so many questions that are left at the end of this that it's just been, the second half of this book was wild.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to I'm going to take this moment to organically pursue the Katya thread, though, because that was the thing that I'd written down. Now that we've gotten through the second half of the book, everything that went down with Hecla and everything, how are you feeling about Katya? Do you have more faith in her than you did before? Do you feel less uncomfortable with her?
I'm not uncomfortable with her in the slightest now. I love her. I'm a big Katya fan. She redeemed herself.
Great.
She proved herself. Like, she did so many things that I would not necessarily have expected, like coming up with the scoop, the cow catcher idea, which is incredibly brave, right? Because she was like up against the third rail. Like, there was a lot of ways that it could have gone wrong for her specifically, and it was her idea, and she did it anyways. The fact that she killed Hecla and became the most powerful crawler.
Yeah.
Slight accident, maybe not the best look, but also really helped herself out.
Yeah.
And Carl and Dona, God knows what that incident would have come to if not Hecla dies, right? Because now she's got the crossbow. Granted, we don't know where Eva is. Brunhild's daughters are no more. That had major ramifications on the entire dungeon. And then apparently it was her plan to go save Carl when he was trapped between the god and the mimic. Only after she was the one who puzzled out the structure of the iron tangle. Like, she was.
So that's another thing to love about Katya.
Yeah.
Is she is a smart ticket, and we do love ourselves a smart chick.
Yeah, and not only that, but she is working on her stage presence as well. So Katya, to me, like, absolute 180. Like, she's a whole new woman, and I'm a fan, and I hope she stays in the party forever because I really like her.
Yeah, oh gosh, I just had it and it just flew right out of my head.
That's okay.
But yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that. I also had a little bit of trust issues with Katya, although I don't think it was as bad as yours were going into it.
Trust issues.
And it's fine, but I was like, as I was going through, I was like, okay, that does happen in this book. So we'll see, we'll check back in, see how we're doing, see if it's better. So I'm glad to hear it's better because I really like Katya. I knew what I was going to say. One of the things that I love about her in this half of the book is you just spoke to her bravery about being the cow catcher on the front. She's really leaning into her tank role and taking more risks. And I think that, it only makes her look better, right? That she's done the work to get stronger, and she's taking risks for the party because she's a really good party member. So
yeah, big fan.
So one of my throwaway comments is poor Growler Gary and his two left hands.
That was rude that it had to be the left hand. Like, it was bad enough, but no.
So many return trips.
A lot.
So many return trips.
But respect to him, though, that he was like eventually okay with it.
Oh, God. Just Donut going, Mongo, we gotta go.
Yeah, I think she might have been less practical about it if he wasn't a dog. But the fact that he was a dog, she's like, all right, more hands, let's do it.
Clearly didn't give her any pause whatsoever.
No.
The tangle mess and Katya figuring it out was brilliant, and I was just as lost as I was at the end of last episode, right? So I did my best to keep up, and I do understand that they were solving it as a 3-dimensional puzzle, and that was how Katya solved it.
Yeah.
I realized that it's smart and ingenious, and then Carl also realizing that they're going to, basically upend it to just, create pure chaos. I was impressed. I did not keep up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When they did solve it, I was just like, okay, like,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, like, I get the concept of, like, if it's a mirror image of itself and there's a portal in between, and the things drop through the portal, having another portal to catch them makes sense, right? But that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
What the noodles? Sure, that's the wormhole. I get it, but like, also, no, I don't. The rest, like, no, I don't. Yeah. I get the plan. I understood the plan.
I'm perfectly willing to accept. Yeah, like, you have a plan. You've executed it beautifully.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't have to understand it.
No.
It's okay.
No, yeah, I'm right there with you. It's like I think, as they said at the beginning of the book that where it was like,
the disclaimer,
don't worry about it, y'all. I didn't worry about it. And it's fine, because literally I think we got what we needed to get, right? Like what I described a moment ago, the fact that there was an abyss, that's inescapable. And the fact that, some of the trains, like the Nightmare, could go to different places. Like that's all I really took away from the structure of the Iron Tangle.
Yeah, I peeked at it's 3-dimensional, and then I plugged back in for it's a mirror image.
Yeah.
And then that's all I got.
Yeah. I don't even like the concept of it being both 3-dimensional and a mirror image. Like whatever. I'm just picturing 2 plates on top of each other with a wormhole in the middle. And I know that's wrong, but that's fine, because that's the only thing I needed to have pictured, because things were falling through wormholes, and that's that.
So I do love that they used the trains and the portable portals and the portals for tomfoolery and just moving baddies around and making it possible for them to rescue islands of stranded crawlers. Again, I don't understand a lot of what happened in terms of solving the tangle itself, but absolutely respected that the writer gave us good scenarios and fun ways to solve them.
Yeah. I think the best example of that, and I'm sure you were going to talk about this, but the best example of that is the way they got out of the god battle, the whatever it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That was
so
brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we could go into that. That's kind of where we're headed. Grull and Prince Maestro. So first off, Maestro's back.
You know what? If I don't see a body, I'm not convinced somebody's dead. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. And so the Grull, the summoning, the back and forth with Mordecai in the background with, if there's a god, just run. Dude, just run.
Yeah.
And all that implies, and the way they ultimately went about it. The using of the 2 Mantars, and Carl finds yet another way to circumvent expectations, right? Like finds another way to tackle the problem in a really kind of brilliant way. And it doesn't match with what anybody thought would happen.
Yeah, no, it was so fun. And the fact that there's like a boss battle that's not a boss battle that triggers gambling. And
so you notice that, right? Like they didn't say boss battle. They, AI introed it as we're about to witness the death of Dungeon Crawler Carl. And
did they call it Death Watch? I can't even remember now what it was
Death
called.
Watch, yes.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, so that was fascinating. Also, I will say that during this fight, and so what was interesting to me was like they had this epic plan where they're going to throw Grohl at the Mimic, and that's going to save the day and blow up the whatevers and all that stuff. Very cool plan. And then, of course, there's a wrench that gets thrown in it because nothing is ever easy, and Carl gets sucked in, right? So first things first, oh boy. And then we get Death Watch, where he's up against Grohl and the Mimic, and it's kind of like, And in the midst of all of this, while he's running away, after he takes Mordecai's special brew, all of that, at some point, the Mimic just gets offed, like as a second thought. And the first time I read the book, the first time I read this passage, I missed the Mimic dying. And so at the end of the fight, whenever Grohl gets thrown into the abyss or whatever with the second Mantar, I thought, okay, now where's the Mimic? And I literally had to rewind, because again, audiobooks, I had to rewind like halfway through the battle when it was like, oh yeah, the girl just...
There was a pile of Mimic goo.
Yeah.
So I had a similar experience, but there was a pile of Mimic goo, and I was like, wait, did we beat the Mimic? Oh.
Yeah, he just like sideswiped it. He just like casually killed it and then moved on. It was like one sentence. And so, it was, I think, easy to miss. But it, did exactly what was intended. Like that the plan was for Grohl to kill the Mimic. Grohl killed the Mimic. Perfect. It was just a matter of like, oh gosh, Carl's there. And now Katya came up with the plan to save him, which was amazing.
I love the fact that the reason plan went sideways is because of the AI's fetish with his feet.
Yeah. Carl's like, of course, that's what happened.
Can't feel my feet.
Yep, can't feel my feet. And I guess I didn't even realize that was like he can't feel his. Like, how do you walk if you can't?
I knew that they were invulnerable
Yeah.
or invincible or whatever. I did not know that meant like no sensation or whatever.
Right. So that to me was kind of odd because again, how do you walk if you can't feel your feet? But maybe it's just we don't have to think about it that hard.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that it was, I wasn't surprised. I kind of assume you weren't either to find out that Donut's like barreling ahead. But I did like the fact that it was Katya who came up with a plan, and it was kind of a heck of a plan.
One heck of a plan. Yeah, big fan. It worked out splendidly.
Yeah. On the heels of that, one of the things that I liked about this book is we have more crawlers, right? So we have crawlers that we've met before, but we have more collabs. So we're seeing more of what those crawlers can do. So any favorite or standout moments for you about people that we've either met or re-met, or things that they do that you thought were kind of cool because we haven't seen them in action because they're not part of our core group?
Yeah, so the Miriam and
Prepotente.
No, Repetente? No.
Prepotente.
The goat?
The goat.
Okay, so I'm thinking of the wrong person then. Maybe not Miriam. The old lady who turned into a flying
Agatha.
person. Sorry.
Oh,
no.
Ellie.
Thank you. Ellie and her, the caregiver for Ellie.
Imani.
Yes. So Ellie and Imani were a fun addition to this book. Oh, by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm awful with names. So
and that's okay.
But Ellie and Imani were a fun addition to this, especially in the audiobook, although I'm sure they're also in the regular read, just because Ellie is such an old lady. Like, she gives no cares about what people think about her. Like, Carl's just like, oh, thanks for what you did or whatever. And she just like gives him a kiss on the cheek, right? She's like this, she's so much fun, and she's like crass sometimes, but also like she's awesome. Her and I already forgot her name. They're fabulous, right? They were freezing the acid. Ellie, I think, flew up through the noodle so that she could see what was on the other side. They were crucial to a lot of the plans. So they were fun. And then Tiger Man, can't think of his name. Batista. He was also fun because I felt like where Ellie was kind of a comedic relief, Batista had a lot of like heart. He was like, he feels kind of like a brother to Carl in the dungeon, in the way that, there's a lot of women around him. He doesn't have like another dude necessarily that's like a friend, aside from the NPCs that they meet and get along with. But Batista feels like that to him, right? They help each other. Like, Carl was trying so hard to save him, and he ended up doing it. And it's a really heartwarming interaction. And Batista is always so grateful. And and he seems like a really sweet guy, even though he apparently looks like a Lisa Frank tiger, which is amazing. And he's the one that also throws Beanie Babies at people. So he is quite the character. But it was just, I really like, he was a good element too, because it was constantly Carl checking in with Batista, and Batista being like, actually, we're screwed. And then Carl being like, let's figure this out. So it was fun.
Yeah, I like that he keeps developing the crawler network, right? And trying to save as many people as he can, even though it's going to be the death of him. To hear Mordecai tell it. And I love it. I love it for him that he's doing that. But I do think that there is some there's definitely camaraderie there, and that Batista is also a very, very competent, collaborative crawler.
Yeah. For sure. And then I guess Lee Jun and his cohorts also kind of re-entered the scene. And so that was interesting because Carl interacted with Lee Jun's sister, Lee Na, who ended up being an extreme strategist. But I found it interesting that Carl and her kind of butt heads. And Carl was like, I don't think we could really be in a party together, even though I like her, and it just felt kind of like, like, is that a flaw? Did I finally locate a flaw in Carl, and it's that he doesn't like people who challenge him? Like, I don't know. time will tell.
Perhaps.
Especially, well, and for me, of course, like my walls went up because it was like, is it that it's a woman who's challenging him? Like he hasn't had somebody who's like pushed back on him in that way. Really, the Donut will like harass him, but not in the same way, right? Not in the way that's like your plan is stupid. I don't know. It was interesting. That interaction made me more curious to see how Carl's going to interact with like new women who have strong personalities in the future.
Yeah, because there have not been any gender-based icks. There have not been any red flags.
And that's the thing. I'm like,
it'd be really nice to keep it that way.
I would love to keep it. Yeah, I like, Carl is so far flawless. And so either this was kind of an inadvertent, like, oh yeah, like, I think she's cool, but we might butt heads too much. Like, and I would butt heads with anyone who's like her, whether they were a man or a woman, or like if it's that, or if it's something else. I doubt it's anything insidious, but of course I'm just looking for, he's just too perfect. He's got to have a flaw.
Yeah. No cap. So we're kind of coming to the bottom of my list. So, I thought, and I kind of think that you do too, but maybe not, Donut in the hats.
Oh my God.
And then them all giving the hats back.
Yeah. And then of course she's, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's nothing.
It made me like tear up. It's the most ridiculous thing. But it was so sweet and I loved it for her.
Yeah. And you know whose idea that was? Katya's. Katya's just, she did a huge turnaround this read for me, for sure. But no, that was very, very sweet. I like that a lot. And I love how Donut's just like, you're going to get us killed, so we might as well save people. Like, whatever, her initial instinct is usually like, we should do the thing that saves us. But then she always goes along with Carl's plan to save other people. So I respect that about her. And I understand the instinct to be like, no, I just want to live. But yeah.
And again, if we think of Donut as a young entity who is still growing and maturing in that context, with that as her partner, modeling some really heroic behavior.
For sure. Yeah.
So that brings us kind of to the end. So I think that the epilogue on this was a good one in terms of we've got yet another show. Oh, we had another in-book show appointment where they went to read dialogue.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Was it a blip? Were you like, why are we here? How did that go for you?
It definitely felt like comedic relief, like, okay, hold on.
For those of you who may just be listening, I believe that Kritter's dog Athena wants to be let in to her office to be part of the show. Her lordship didn't want to be left out.
No, she was in here because she didn't want to be left out earlier, and so she decided she was done. So it did feel like comedic relief at first, but there was stuff that happened in it. The director guy complaining about the nature of things and how, he's being leaned on to do certain things. And I feel like there was some kind of point about the overall universe. And it's just like right now on the top of my head, I can't get to it, but it was more than just funny, I think.
It definitely felt like some social commentary in there on the state of the politicking that surrounds the crawl as an entity.
Yeah.
And I very much, the thing about that interaction that stood out to me was Carl basically saying, I'm sorry, you expect me to feel bad for you?
Yeah.
You guys have basically raised our planet.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel bad for you. Yeah. So
I did think that was understood his point. Don't get me wrong, but I did think that was like pretty harsh because the guy obviously is not one of the powers that be, right?
No.
He's
just another cog in the machine,
right? And so it's kind of like it would be like Carl getting mad at Mordecai, right? Although Mordecai's like more of a slave than this other dude, I assume. But I did feel for the guy a little bit, but Carl did have a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a different kind of show interaction for sure. And I thought that it was we've already talked about how we're seeing how things are being represented when they're doing the recap episodes and how they are really skewing things. And then now we're seeing it in their, quasi real world content where they are making content about Earth and its inhabitants, and the skew is still very much present.
Yeah.
In how they are representing Earth.
Right. The fact that the AI didn't have time to analyze completely, and so they were getting just slop, which is ironic because that's what you get from AI and on Earth as well. But that also, it did kind of remind me of the more backstory that we got within the dungeon about the Krakerans and how it was a metaphor for, the universe hating Krakeran, the representation of Krakerans were in the universe. Yep. So there's a real world Krakeren technology of some kind.
And plenty. So they talked about the plenty and the apothecary and how this was social commentary. It would be like looking at political cartoons with donkeys and elephants. Is really the big vibe I got from that big explanation.
Right. Yeah. To me, I will admit that I didn't super follow it, other than that, they're trying to say that whatever this, apothecary is the technology they're providing is like bad, and it's ultimately gonna result in people's demise, right? Because they're dealing drugs and people are ODing and all that. Well, right, it's a big metaphor. That's really all I got about it. And whatever the technology is, I can't really, it's something that enables faster space travel, right? Like, I don't even fully remember. Anyways, it's complicated. The explanation sort of zoomed over my head a little bit, other than the fact that they were trying to make a point about a separate faction of the powers that be.
Right. And the broad strokes are conspiracy exists even at a, galactic level.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So then that brings me back to Odette's show in the epilogue. And so first off, we start with Zev isn't there. We have Zev, who is in serious timeout, and Loida, who was Hekla's PR person, and happens to be connected with the political group that is in power for the Kuatine. Has replaced Zev and has kicked her for quote unquote re-education. Right. So that had all kinds of ick on it.
Yeah, it's giving 1984. Hate it. Hate it.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that, and then we have the interview happens, and then there's censorship with Audette herself, and the butting of the heads between Audette and Loida. Yeah, so kind of a strong way to end. And we saw a lot of information, like you were talking about, this tragic incident with Lucy Amar and other crawler names, and you're trying to catch it, and then they're muting her. Kind of felt like some stuff was tickled there, dripped, and we don't know what it means, but we know that the Bloom, Loida, the organization she's part of, is definitely trying to tamp down information.
Yeah, it felt like night and day the last time they had an Odette interview, and this time, right? No snacks. They got yelled at for having a book. It's just like they were censored in many ways. They didn't get to talk to Odette after the fact, which has been a major boon. So I get they're trying to be fair, but at the same time, nothing is fair, right? The whole thing is rigged. It feels very rigged. Like there's a lot of things, but I did get a lot of satisfaction finding out about the fact that the Death Watch ended up screwing the board corporation. That felt really good. And they only get one appeal, right, per games. Not that, I don't even know if that's because it's not really part of the game. It's outside of the game. I think so. I don't know if they even could. It did say that they appealed it, so I don't know. I just hope they get screwed. So it felt good that it sounds like they might.
Yeah. And then we ended with Donut picking our zone for our next level.
Yeah.
And we know that we are taking on dirigible gnomes.
In a castle in the sky.
Yay!
Yay!
And that thus ends all of my notes. Do you have any other fave or standout moments that happened that we haven't touched on?
Not that I can really think of, other than, the name of this book was the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. And while Carl did rely on the book a lot, and we did come to, his realization at the end when it came to the NPCs and stuff, where it's like, we need to stop talking about saving this and changing things. We need to actually change things. So I appreciated the arc that the book kind of kicked off at the beginning. But I just want to see more of it, right? Like, it does feel like a little cheat code, right? The book. And that's what it's used for the most. But every now and then I do appreciate the fact that it's, people hyping themselves up about raging against the machine, and I need Carl to continue raging against the machine. I did like his interactions with the demon and the other guy that drove off, into the abyss themselves. Like, oh my gosh, I know it's like not very helpful. So
it was Firebrandy,
yes,
and Tizquick.
Yes, Tizquick's daughter was non-existent. Firebrandy knew that she wasn't going to get to keep her kids, and the fact that they, met eye to eye and were like, "We're in this together. We should not be enemies," was a nice moment for sure. So the fact that this book is called the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, I might have expected more to have happened because of the book, but it did lay a foundation. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see if it adds more flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that leads us to the moment where we choose our favorite baddie for this part of the read. Do you have one in mind?
I mean, easily, to me, the coolest fight was the god fight. Like, that was awesome. And the mimic got just offed immediately. So, it has to be the god. It has to be
Gruul.
So that whole sequence, like, it's not just the favorite boss, it's the favorite fight. Easily that was the favorite fight because it had so many layers. Like, plan gets botched, Carl gets in, he's gonna die, actually he's getting saved, and the way he gets saved is really brilliant. It was just cool. It was a really cool sequence. I was a fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had both. I was like on the fence between Mimic Rex and the Gruul. So Mimic Rex, yes, taken out of the fight pretty fast, but such an agent of chaos.
Scary.
And super scary. So I am fine with taking Mimic Rex as my favorite.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So then we get to that wonderful part of the evening where we pick our runner-up and our MVP. And I did take note. Where did I put it? Hold on. I did take note of our last.
I appreciate you, because I didn't think about that until right this moment, because it is our last. We're finishing the book today, so we got to figure out the MVP, the book MVP.
Yes. So I won't do a recap on that. We'll leave that. So let's start with our runner-ups. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Happy to go first, because it is a bit different for me.
Okay.
My runner-up this half of this book, is Carl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Carl was once again brilliant as always. Extreme strategist, great friend, super selfless, the whole nine. But there was somebody else who took it from him, who did more, in my opinion, this read.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. You can elaborate in a moment.
I will.
So for me, for this half of the book, I chose Ellie as my runner-up.
Fun. Okay. Yeah.
She used up a scroll to be super fast and to be so distracting for Gruul in an incredibly intense battle. And I feel like she came in clutch.
Yeah.
And making the group, successfully beat that hella hard opponent. So That's my choice.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
So then, for your MVP for this half of the book, who did you pick?
I picked Katya. For all the reasons that I've already said, yeah, she figured out the Iron Tangle. She leveled up an extreme amount by more or less sacrificing herself by strapping herself at the front of a train and killing untold numbers of bad guys. She killed Hecla while she was trying to kill Eva, but still, it was kind of epic, resulting in them getting an awesome crossbow, and that was super fun. What else did she do? She had the plan that saved Carl. Like, she talked to Carl about the PvP coupon when she was uncomfortable, which, you know what, in some books, people don't communicate with each other, and it drives me nuts. Wheel of Time. And so the fact that she did talk to Carl about it was so nice and refreshing. She is becoming a better and better player, and the more I get to know her, the more I think that she is a really good person. And so and she transformed herself into Carl, putting a massive target on her back against Grawl. So it was just, there's no beating Katya in this read, in my opinion.
So all that and a bag of chips. I also picked Katya as my MVP for all of those reasons. She had the killer plan. She executed it. She's been working on her skills to the point that even Carl, in like a really panicked moment, was like, wow, she did a really good job copying me. And she boss babed through a lot of stuff in this book and she's worked on herself and gotten better and better. And Carl would not be here if not for Katya. So
yeah, gotta give it to Katya.
Interestingly though,
okay,
when we look at the outcome for the whole book,
okay,
Carl wins by 1 vote.
Because I picked him as my
because you got him as your runner-up. Which is, there's worse things.
There are definitely worse things. So Katya is runner-up MVP for this book. That's respectable. I'd never in a million years would have called that at the beginning of this book. So that's like full character improvement. Extremely respectable character.
Total 180. Yeah. I couldn't wait. I was, when we talked about the last half of the book, I was like, I hope this all happens here for her, and that you can have that kind of full circle moment. So
yeah. I could not give it to Carl because he had too many good plans, right? He was the one that had the portal drop idea. He was the one that blew the final soul crystal, or his plan to like go send the train into the abyss or whatever. Blew the soul crystal, which freed a bunch of people. He was the one who wanted to go save all X, Y, and Z crawlers that were trapped. I couldn't not.
No, totally.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that does it for that. Wow, Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. What a good book. All right, so as you might have predicted, we're going to be continuing the Dungeon Crawler Carl series with The Gate of the Feral Gods, which is book 4. And we're going to be reading chapters 1 through 18 for May 12th. So thank you so much for tuning into our 6th episode of Season 7 of But Are There Dragons, brought to you by your hosts, Jessica Sedai, and me, Kritter XD. Don't forget to follow us at But Are There Dragons on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and But Dragons Pod, just 1 T, on X. You can also find your hosts on social media as Kritter XD and Shelf Indulgence. That's it for today. New achievement! Clockwork Triplicate. You've read 3 books in 3 months. You're not breaking any records, but at least you're consistent. Reward? You got to witness Prince Maestro get his bum handed to him yet again. And isn't that reward enough? Bye!
Bye!